Hello everyone, I'm Donelle McAdams, and today I'm going to share with you my quilt as you go method for joining blocks so that you can quilt them and then join them afterwards. Now the samples that I'm using today are 12.5-inch squared. They will be 12-inch when they're finished. So when you are getting your strips ready, which we will have a handout that you can download so you can see exactly all the information, they will be cut, in this case, about 1.5 inches longer at 14 inches. Now the one that's going to be on the front starts out at 1 5/8 inches, and it's going to be folded and pressed. Now before I actually cut my strips, I took 1/4 yard of fabric and pressed it with something such as Starch Savvy by June Taylor or Best Press, or one of those starch alternatives, so it gave it some body. So that's what's going to go on the top, and then what's going to go on the back is a strip that is 1 inch wide, and again it's longer so that we can then finish it and cut it off to make it even, because these are the strips that are going to join our rows across, and then you're going to do long strips so that you can put the rows together. So this one is already finished. So as I show you here, this is the instruction sheet, so you can see that you're going to have nice pictures to be able to do this technique. So I'm going to lay that aside for right now. You will be able to have that link and download. And so this is the front. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take my 1-inch strip that's not folded, and I'm simply going to put that on the back so that the right side is up. So that's the 1-inch strip on the back. And then I'm going to take my folded piece and put the raw edges, again leaving it longer at the top. I'm going to put the raw edges even there. Now if you want to pin that, that's fine. It's a lot of layers. You actually have 5 layers of fabric and you have a layer of batting. And so it would be easier if you're wanting to pin it to use some wonder clips to hold that together. Now the one thing that you want to remember is do not stretch. You've got extra fabric at the top and the bottom. We have cut this so that it is a 12.5-inch square. I actually made it so that my designs ended 1/4 inch from the corners here, or from the edge here. And so it's all made with the whole idea that that's what I was doing. And so now I'm just going to lay this up beside there. I'm going to take this out because my foot is holding it in place. And you want to make sure you're doing an accurate 1/4 inch. I am using 1/4 inch foot, and I will tell you, you don't want to see that fabric sticking out the side. You want it to go right under the edge there. Have your needle stop down so that you don't have to worry about holding on to that. Lay this right back on there so we're catching all of those layers. And when you get to the end, just sew off a little ways. You can backstitch if you want, but you really don't need to. It certainly won't hurt. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to cut that. And we are going to pull this back down towards us, and this is going to lay out this way, and it's going to be attached to the other piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this over and kind of finger press, or I can use my roller here and go ahead and do a little bit of a roller press. Now that's not going to be the final press, but it helps that to lay back there so it's kind of working with us instead of against us. Now this is my next block, okay? And so what I'm going to be doing is I am going to turn it so I can see the back of it. You notice that I've got every other one white, blue, white, blue. So I'm going to put this underneath here, making sure I've got the top and the top, And then I'm going to turn it this way so that you can see it easier, because right down here, I need to make sure that I get these two, and because they're both the same color, it would be easy to not have that. So I want those right even, and then this piece is going to be even with that edge. So you can see right here, this is even with that edge, and this edge is even. Now let's check the other end. Looks like we're good to go. So I'm going to turn this back around. Again, you could use your Wonder Clips. I'm going to start off on that excess, get it so it's starting coming on, and then get my edges even here. I just love this method. It is so easy to do, and it's almost kind of like the thing, it's so fun that you just look forward to it instead of dread it. And so I'm coming down here to the bottom, coming off the edge. You can see I've got plenty to cut off. I must have cut them longer than 14. And then when I pull this back, I'm going to flip this one out, making sure I've got everything done correctly. And these 2/4 inches meet in the middle. Okay? So the thing that's cool about that is that was an 1-inch wide strip. So on the back, a 1/2 inch is showing, as you can see right there. So I've got a 1/4 inch here and a 1/4 inch there. So I'm going to take this over to the ironing board. So you're going to see just my machine for a second. And all I'm going to do is press this across like that. And then I've got another little trick to show you. So I'll be right back. All right, as promised. Now, you can just leave this lay like this and you can stitch it down. But a lot of people like to add to that to make it easier. And this is called Stitch Perfection Tape. And it's a double-sided sticky tape. This is the 1/4 inch box. I should have gotten the 1/2 inch box. Here we go. This is the 1/2 inch box. And the 1/2 inch works the easiest. You can use the 1/4 inch. But all I'm going to do is find the start of this. And this is not something that I need to press. This is something that is sticky on its own. And I'm just going to lay that right beside that line. Now, when I was preparing my blocks, I drew a 12.5 inch square around my block. In other words, I found the center of my design. I measured out and drew a 12.5 inch square. And so then, before I cut off my extra, I went ahead and stitched right close to the edge, as you can see here. So like 1/8 of an inch from the edge, I stitched. And then I cut off the extra. So that way I have got that whole block stabilized all the way around. You can see it right up here. And that's all going to get hidden in our Quilt As You Go method. Now what I got to do is I got to peel this off so that it leaves the other sticky side. Looks like they're stuck together for life. I think I might have got it there. There we go. So this is what this looks like. It just stays right there. It's not going to hurt your needle. And what it's going to do is allow me to just take this extra. I start in the middle and I lay it over. and it just sticks right down there. So this way you don't have to use any pins, you don't have to go iron this. This just holds right in place. And I'm going to stitch right close to my edge there. So I'm going to start again off the edge, and I'm just going to stitch right close to that edge. And the reason I came up with this is I don't like to hand stitch. And the way I had seen this done before is you did this and you did it the opposite way. And so then on the back, you had to hand stitch all of this. And I'm not one for hand stitching. We're coming close to the end here. And I'm just going to sew just a smidge off. Cut that thread. And this particular row is finished, and you can see if I pull this up here, my thread matches so well you can hardly see it. And then on the back, you can see just a smidge right there, but that's sure not bothering me any. So it's pretty well hidden. I got a thread there that I need to pull out. It's pretty well hidden right there in the back. So that's the back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. And you're going to see that then I could take this over and take a longer ruler and just cut these off. And then I would be doing long strips. I think these strips are going to be 40 inches. And I would be putting this to the next row, matching up these places right here. So now I know we've got an audience out there. Do we have any questions? All right. Well, that's the way you do it. We will attach the handout. This will be on YouTube so that you can watch it and rewatch it again. And thanks for joining.